Well, it's after 12, so I think probably what we'll do is just jump right in here. Before we get into our open Q&A and going through, answering questions, just to give a very quick background about what this call is, for those that might be new and joining us for the first time. This is our open Q&A edition of Military Trailblazer Office Hours. Our goal here is that for veterans, military spouses, transitioning, military members or allies, that's basically everybody. If you have any kind of questions, issues at work, trouble with Trailhead, whatever it is, while you're on your Salesforce learning journey, we're here to try to help you out. So you can come here, ask your question, and we'll see what we can do. All that I would ask is that if you do have a question, just use the raise hand functionality within Zoom. That way we can kind of get an idea of, what questions we have, what order they're in, that kind of thing. So again, before we kick things off with Q&A, anybody have any kind of good news to share as far as certifications or anything exciting? Bill, what do you got?
I do. I was very excited to find out a week and a half ago that I didn't have to have the admin exam to take the business analyst exam. So I took the business analyst exam and passed that. So
Nice.
that's good. Yeah.
Congratulations. That's awesome.
Much easier
Um,
than the admin exam.
yeah, I know you've shared your challenges with the admin exam. Any
Yeah.
plans to put that one back on the list?
Yes, it's on the list. I don't have a date set yet, but yeah, it's got to be back. It's the foundation. I got to do it. So yeah,
Nice. Well, congratulations.
thanks.
Anybody else? Any good news to share? Solely, what do you got?
Uh, I went and took the associate exam. I knew it wasn't going to be hard, but yeah, it was fun just to understand how that process is going to work. So that was good. I feel a lot more confident about scheduling the admin because I know that one's tricky.
Very cool.
Uh,
Is the associate exam, is that done through Web Assessor, just like
it
the other
is.
exams? Okay. Oh, cool.
Yes.
So at a minimum, you verify that you know what Salesforce is, and also that you were able to install all their security software and everything else that's a prerequisite
The
to take those
biometrics
tests.
is probably the most complicated part of that exam. Yeah.
Yeah. Oh, cool. Congratulations. Anybody else either joining us for the first time or have any kind of good news with certifications or anything else that they'd like to share?
Can you guys hear me? I can't raise my hand.
I can hear you. Yes.
Hi, Bill. Hi, everybody. I found out they are going to actually let me compete in the Salesforce Fellowship one more time as just a mill spouse.
Awesome. That's good news.
Yeah,
Yes.
they
This is
let me
for
know.
hiring our heroes, right?
It is. It's for the actual Salesforce Fellowship. So, because I have now done 17 applications and no looks. So everybody wants experience. I don't have that. So.
Well, that's good news. When any idea when they're going to do like resume releases and that part of it? Like when are they actually going to start the process for that cohort that you're in?
Yeah, so the turn-in date, so if there's any, I can't see anybody, so I'm so sorry, but if there are any mill spouses on here, the application is still available until June 8th. So they're still accepting applications. It will start in August, but the resume release will be done, I believe, at the end of June, beginning of July. So I'm just putting that out there. It's still open. And then they already do have dates for the next one. So again, any mill spouses in here, if you don't have your admin cert yet, but you're really interested in doing it, they've already got dates coming out.
Nice. Well, that's good. Congratulations. I know that was you were wondering about that. I know they've been doing a lot of changes on the hiring our heroes side. Cool. Anybody else? Anything that they'd like to share before we jump into questions? All right.
Just jumping on for the first time. Hey, Bill.
Hey, Jonathan.
Good
Where are
to
you
see
calling in from and any
you.
affiliation to the military?
Yeah, Lancaster, Pennsylvania, and I was in the Army National Guard years ago. So
Nice. What city in Pennsylvania?
Lancaster.
Oh, Lancaster. Okay, so that's like
Yeah.
40 minutes from me. I'm in Sanatoga, like near Pottstown.
Okay.
If you don't mind me asking, I usually don't like to quiz people on this call, but when you were in the Guard, what unit were you in the PA Guard?
82nd Personnel Services Division.
Oh, okay. Gotcha. Is that a 5-6 brigade or 5-5 brigade?
I'm not sure which brigade. It was out of
Okay.
40 and Town Gap, and I think they actually since I was in years ago. I think they actually changed numbers at one point. So, and I know also they changed the MOS. So I feel like a lot's changed.
Gotcha. Well, welcome. I appreciate you joining us. Okay, so I think maybe we'll just jump in and get started. Bill, you've had your hand up, so why don't you kick us off here?
I did. Good morning, everybody. Good to see everybody. So I have I think an easy to solve conundrum, but we couldn't figure it out, me and a couple other devs. I want to add a path to a standard object.
Okay,
So I've
yeah.
already got, if I can share my screen, I can
Sure.
show you what I've got. Come on,
Yes.
there's the big green button. All right, hang on. It is.
There we go.
All right, you should see something in the upper left-hand corner. It says Afris 2.0 in the upper left.
Yes. Okay, upper left.
Okay.
Gotcha.
All right, great. So we made a custom object with a path, but the reason we made the custom object is because we couldn't get it to work in the standard object leads. We didn't know why. It was easier to do it with the custom, but we've been directed to not have too many custom objects in this app, so we need to do it in the standard object.
Okay, let me say that back to you here. So if you were living in a perfect world, you would want to have the path on the standard lead object?
Correct.
Okay. So let's distill your question back down to, can we create a custom path on the lead object?
Yeah.
Is that fair? Okay. So if you don't mind, I'm going to share my screen here.
Sure.
So let me launch my playground. And just for those that might not be super familiar with what path is, I think Bill kind of shared a little bit about that, but let me just show you specifically what we're talking about here. So most commonly, folks are going to be used to seeing path on the opportunity object. Now, of course, in this org, this will be the one where I've like removed the path. Okay, there it is. All right, so here's our path that we have. In this particular path on opportunity is tied to the stage pick list field. So what we're trying to do here is create something very similar to this, but on the lead object. So if I go over to my leads, let's just make sure that we don't have anything on there already. So right now, okay, so we have a lead here, and let's see, what field can we create this on? Maybe lead status, just for fun to see if we can do it. So the way that we manage our path would be to go into setup, and then if you go into the quick find on the far left here, you should, in theory, be able to type in path.
Yeah.
That'll come up to path settings. And we should be able to create our custom path. Now, I feel like we're about to hit one of those gotchas where you can't do it on like certain custom objects or something like that. But let's see here. Now, I guess I need to enable this first. And before I actually click enable, I just always want to verify I'm not my customer org. So let's click enable. All right, and now I can do new path. And it should prompt me for what object I want to create this path on. So let's just call this test path, and I can select the lead object. We don't have any record types, that's good. Now I can select what pick list that I want to create this on. We said we were going to do lead status, so I'll select that one. And then this is where, this is kind of the cool part about path, and what I, besides just being able to quickly click through these and move something through its statuses, I think this is one of the coolest parts of it, where for each status that you have or each item on the path, you can identify what fields that you want to display under that that particular status, right? So for this, I'll leave open not contacted with nothing in it, but maybe on working contacted, I'll add a few fields in here like I don't know, the address, company, and I don't know, DMB or whatever that is. I know it's not Dave and Buster's, but okay, there you go. Dunn's number, yes. Okay, so now I'm going to activate my path. And we'll enable celebrations because that's always fun.
Always enable celebrations.
So when they're contacted, actually we'll do it when they're converted. We'll demonstrate what that does. And celebration frequency, obviously we want that to be always. All right. Okay, so that creates the path, and now we need to expose that path onto the page. All right, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to go back to Bertha Boxer here. And, well, let's see.
I think you need to go
I
in.
think I could edit the page, right?
Yeah.
And swap it to the one that I want here. So let's go to edit page. And on that path component, I should now be able to select that and select which one I want to use. Because I believe there's a standard one, and then I think you can create your own custom one. Let's see. All right, so here's our path component. You should be able to select. And I guess you can only have one active path at a time. So this lets you control whether or not it's in the order of whatever that pick list is set up as, or nonlinear, which is like you can select anything in any order. But I always usually go with linear. And yeah, so let's go back here. So I guess, Bill, I guess the question would be is, what was the issue that you're running into when you tried to create the path on the lead object?
The issue was is that we had created a custom pick list for the path.
Yeah.
And when we went through, when you name the path,
Yeah.
select the lead object, the custom pick list was not available.
Oh, okay. Let's give that a whirl then. So let's go to Object Manager. We'll go to the lead object. We'll go to our fields and relationships. And let's create a new field of type pick list. And it wasn't anything silly like a multi-select pick list or anything like that, right?
No. It was just,
Okay.
it was.
All right, so we'll call this custom pick list. We'll set values, and we'll just say
red, blue, green, whatever.
this, that, the other.
Yeah, that works.
All right, so let's save. We'll assign this to everybody. We'll add it to all of our layouts. Okay, so we got a custom pick list here. Now, if we go back to home and go back to path settings, let's see if we can create one for the custom pick list now. All right, and you notice that for the lead object, we have that one that we created as active. I'm just going to create a new one now. And let's see. So path name, custom lead path. Object is lead. Is that what you were getting? That weird error message?
No. It just the pick list. Once we got to pick list, the custom pick list that we had made was not showing up.
Okay, let me try one thing here. So I wonder if this is a that thing where you can't create multiple paths on the same object, which is kind of lame if you ask me. 'Cause I could see the benefit of having two. But let's see. So if we do new test two object lead, no more record types are available for this object.
Bill, I think it's one path per each record type per object.
So not even one active path, it's just one path?
That's a good question. Don't know.
Yeah, because I did deactivate it. And if that's the case, then I'm going to double down on my comment that that's lame. But let's see here. Maybe I can edit this. So, okay, so we can't change the fields once it's in here. So let me go back. Let's just delete this and we'll try to create it again with just a custom. Yeah, I don't understand why you would have a deactivate button if you can't create more than one against the object. But okay. All right, so we'll do new path.
It's one per record type.
But do you have any record types created?
Yeah, so I guess master.
You have master, no other record types out there.
There's the custom pick list.
Okay, so let me select that custom pick list as an option. Now, before I actually save this, I'm going to go back here. Is there anything unique about that pick list that you had that might be preventing it? Like,
no.
Is it part of a managed package? Is it?
I did it exactly like you did. It just put all the choices in that text box separated by each line.
Would you be
and it
able to
works.
share that part? You say it works, like you can actually save it?
Yeah, I mean, it worked. I saved the pick list, and the pick list is now assigned to a custom object. But the issue was it was not showing up on the standard lead object when we first started fooling around with it. So we went with the custom object, and it worked then.
Yeah.
But I think
Okay.
I think I could probably go back and
Did you guys try to add it to?
So what I was gonna just to say this back to you and clarify. So on your standard lead object, you created a custom pick list, and then you went into the path settings and tried to create a new path. When you select lead, are you saying you don't see that pick list in the listing?
right, but
Would-
things change sometimes. That was yesterday. Today it might work. I haven't tried yet.
Yeah. From
Because
what I
I'm
can
doing
see,
exactly what you did.
yeah. From what I can see, there shouldn't be any issue with creating a path on the lead object with a custom pick list.
Yeah.
So if you go through there and it's not letting you do it, maybe give it a try while we continue on here.
That's
And
exactly
if
what I'll
you're
do.
not seeing it or you're getting an error message or whatnot, then maybe we can have you share your screen and we can kind of see what might be unique about that pick list.
Yeah, perfect.
All right.
Thank you.
All right, cool.
Have
Any
you guys
questions?
tried to add it to a global pick list? Sorry, I'm driving and I'm listening. But
it
did
is
you
a
guys add it
global-
to the global?
It is a
Okay.
global pick list.
Okay, perfect.
Okay, so let's just see that just to we can rule that out as well. So for those that might not be familiar, there's two different types of pick list fields you can create. Not pick list and multi-select, but just standard pick list here. So when I go to the pick list as an option, you'll see here, let's just say fave color. So you can see you can either enter values directly for the pick list, or you can use a global value set. Now,
Oh no,
I
I
don't
did
have
the
any.
second one.
You did this one where you typed them
Yeah.
in directly. Okay, so then
Yeah.
in that case, I won't go through the steps of creating the global pick list value set, but that could be one option. And actually, I will go through this. Let me just show you for those that might not be familiar. So we just throw some colors in here: blue, green, orange,
All right.
and we save this pick list. You'll see there's an option once we get all the way through these steps that, if you had this just as a standard pick list, I could go back into that field. And if we go to edit, you'll notice that there should be a link here for promote to global value set. So if I click on that, that'll, give it a name. So I'll just, same thing, maybe colors, keep it generic, promote to global value set. And what you'll see now is that this favorite color field that we have on the lead object is using the values from the global value set of colors, right? Now, if you wanted to just create that directly without having to create a field and then promoting it, you could do that as well. So if you go over to your home tab and in the quick find, type in global, you should see an option here for, actually, what is that, value sets? Pick list value sets. Okay, so if we click into that, you'll see the one that we have here for colors, but you can manually create them from here, with the name and the values. And the benefit of the global value set, just think about a use case where you have maybe somebody's role within a project, like they're the PM, they're an account manager, they're a developer. When you assign them to a project on an assignment record, maybe you'd want to, select that role, but then maybe on their actual resource record, you want to put on what their default role is. Now, if you don't want to get into the habit of having to keep those pick lists in sync all the time, you could just create one pick list value set with all your list of roles that your team has on projects, and then both of those fields can point to the same list. So when you add, a new value to the global value set, it'll now show up on both of the pick lists on two separate objects. So that's really the benefit of the pick list value set. But yeah, any questions or any other thoughts on any of that we just walked through?
Thanks. I'll work on it while you take some more questions.
Yeah. All right, cool. Well, that being said, let's open it back up. Anybody have any other questions or topics that they would like to walk through for today? I do see a question from Steve in the chat. Let's see. Is it possible to deactivate the current pick list items and add the ones you want? Is that for global value sets or just with pick list fields in general?
No, the question was relating to he was having problems adding a new pick list. So rather than add a new pick list, I'm not sure if it's possible with what's I'm looking for the standard objects. But if you could deactivate the ones that are in there and add the ones you want, then it should you can go back to the path then and make the changes there. I would think, but I don't know that for a fact.
Gotcha. So you're saying like kind of like reusing the existing path just by removing the values you don't care about and adding the ones that you do.
Yep.
Yeah, I think that could be an option in some cases. But figuring out why he wasn't able to use the custom pick list, that's the one I'd really like to understand just to see what the issue was there. Like I said, with Salesforce, you always run into these kind of gotchas. So I'd like to know what the gotcha is in this case. You can't do it for custom fields that start with the letter B or something like that. You never know. All right, cool. No, I appreciate that, Steve. Thanks. Soli, I see your hand up. What do you got?
Yeah, thank you. I think it's more a best practices question. Would it be okay to share my screen so that I can
Sure.
just kind of explain what I'm thinking of?
Baseball tracker.
All right. I got dual monitors, and that just confused me a lot.
We're looking at Salesforce with your baseball tracker with your launch pad there.
Okay. Did the web page show up now?
I do not see a web page. I'm just looking at the baseball tracker Salesforce app.
Gotcha. All right. So I have data here. Is that showing up now?
Now I can see it. Yep.
Okay, very good. So the way I set up that database is for, this is a project just to get hands-on and get good, hopefully. But here there's, players and they have at-bats. And if you look at their at-bats, there's multiple. So I can't do a straight up import into the database because it's designed to capture individual at-bats, not bulk. Does that make sense? So
say that back to me. So it looks like you have, if I was thinking about this like in the context of like a CSV file, I could see two columns like hitters and then at bat. And you should be able to load that in the Salesforce with no problem.
Right, which I could do. However, this is a cumulative total. So for instance, this first person, Arjun, he's got 2 at bats. So that needs to be 2 separate records.
Okay. So it's like that guy
sense?
on this date had an at bat, and then that same guy on this other date had another at bat. So you need to like for every time they had an at bat, you want that to be a separate record in your table.
Correct.
Okay.
And can you see the tracker again now? Or?
Yes. Yep.
Okay, very good. So the at bat, here's the records.
So we got the guy, we got the.
So each individual at bat, we're capturing all the data.
Yeah.
And basically what I'm looking at here and what I'm wondering for best practices purposes, what I thought is, okay, if I'm trying to load this data in one at a time, I've done a spreadsheet and I can do the import for that. The other thought I had here is, do I clone records? And is that going to be faster? Or, second, I'd like to formulate my question properly. Turn that guy off. So when we
just the table.
Yeah, I got you. So when we go to new, my other question is here, like once I put one in, can I default these would that need to be a flow?
So in other words, if you want to enter the same at bats for the same player,
yes,
you want to do like 5 in a row.
Yeah.
What I would suggest you do if you were gonna, so there's a lot to unpack here, but if you were gonna enter them manually, and you were trying to put in like the 5 records for that one player, it might make sense to do it from the player, doing it from the related list. So the at bats related list on the player object, because when you do that, it would default, those fields. Well, it would at least default it for the player. You'd still have to select the league and the opponent and things like that. Now,
Yeah, I didn't set that up. These are all custom objects across the top.
but if you actually click on one of those players, you should have a related list that's in there for at bats. Because I'm assuming you have a relationship field behind the scenes. So under related right here, you would have at bats. So if you click new
I
right
see what
there,
you mean there. So
it should
kind of like with
default
the
it.
split view, what I was doing with
Yeah. So now at least the player part of it
just the
is
player.
filled in. Now, if you wanted it so that you could select the player, the league, the team, and the opponent, and then create a bunch of at bats, for just that game,
Yes.
there's a few options you could do there where you might select those things first and then go through a series of creating at bats. First thing that comes to mind out of the box declarative would be a flow, where like a screen-based flow, where the first thing you ask them is what player, what team, what game, all that kind of stuff. And then you click next, and it would take you to the second screen, and it would say, do you want to enter another at bat? And you would click yes, and then it would give you the form to put in, the date, what happened, that kind of stuff. And when you save that, you would have an option to like click next and then add another one and just keep going through that loop until you have them all in there. That could be a way to do it, where you could default like 4 fields and then add a number of at bats.
All
Now,
right.
yeah, now I think that could be for practicing Salesforce and building flows and objects. I think that could be a way. If this was like a productionized thing that you're trying to put together, I would definitely not want to do any of this manually. Just given the number of teams, number of games, I think you'd be there forever. But yeah, some kind of feed, I would think that you'd want to digest, where it would just push
Yeah,
this
I
all
mean,
automatically.
If this were a real thing, I would have access to the back end of where the
Yeah.
records are created. You know what I mean? And
Yep.
if I didn't, I would pay to get it.
Right.
But it's for practice and learning, so I'm having fun. So what I'm hearing is a flow is probably a good idea. It would give me experience, and then I've got something to actually play with, to where when it breaks, I learn a lot.
Yeah. So I think a flow for like an at bat entry tool where you can just kind of enter multiple records for the same game for the same player at the same time. I think that could be a good way to start. Long term, if you want to think about your learning, maybe the next thing would be some kind of custom Lightning web component that might add a bunch more features to that. But maybe that's getting ahead of ourselves at this
I'm sorry,
stage.
say that again. A custom web, a Lightning web component?
So when you think about
when
we think about like UIs for Salesforce, you have the standard Salesforce UI, which you were just working with just right there. They have the really old school Visualforce, which would allow you to create a custom user interface for Salesforce using Salesforce's tools called Visualforce, like a front end app design type interface. Then they had Lightning components, and those come in 2 flavors. There's Aura components, which you should just forget about 3 seconds after I say that. And then there's Lightning web components.
I got you.
Yeah,
Okay,
Lightning web components are kind of the new way to create really dynamic, interfaces for Salesforce that meet all the standard, web standards. So,
cool.
And then if you want to just to round out your list of things to do in your free time, OmniScript might be another option to take a look at as well.
Just started looking at that.
Yeah, I think it's very interesting. I think it's a very powerful tool. The only reason why I haven't really dedicated a lot of time to it is that it's not something that every customer is going to have out of the box. I think it's something you have to pay for. It kind of limits the amount of people that can actually leverage it. So for me, I just haven't really spent a lot of time in it. But yeah, it could be something to look at.
Very cool. Hey, thank you very much. Appreciate it.
Yeah, absolutely. All right, Nancy, I see you have a hand up.
All right. I have a question about a flow that I'm working on, and I've only been in this for 6 months with my job, and so I'm not very good at flows. So
No
let me share
worries.
my screen and I'll show you what
I was going to joke with you, ask you, were you in that position for 6 months, or have you been working on this flow to try to figure out the issue for 6 months?
I'm so glad I haven't been working on the flow for 6 months. Yeah, just the position. Trying to find the right screen to share. There you go.
Okay.
All right.
All right.
So you can see the flow now.
Yep.
So what I'm trying to do is that the users want a button on opportunity where they can click it and then decide either creating a child off of that given opportunity or a parent off of it.
Oh, interesting. Okay.
Yeah, so and I'm really not sure about any of my layout. I did run a debug, and I am getting a fault message.
Yeah. So before we go that route, let's just kind of familiarize ourselves with what you're doing here. Before we actually open up any of these elements, can you click on the Manager tab over on the far left there? So first thing I would want to see with a screen flow that we'd be putting into a button would be the record ID variable. Now I don't see that. All right, so let's just set that aside for 1 second here. Oh, there it is, record ID. I do see a capital R. I don't know if that would work, but let's.
Really? It should be
I don't know. I don't want to say that that's an issue, but I think every time I've seen it, it's been lowercase r, capital I.
I do lower or uppercase R all the time. It's fine.
Okay, so that's fine. Thank you, Sandy, for confirming that. The lowercase r is the way to go, though, just in case anybody wonders. But okay. All right. So if you go into your get records, let's double click on that element. I'm assuming that is going to be just a get opportunities where the ID is equal to capital R record ID, right?
Yes.
Okay. And we're getting only the first record. So that looks perfect. Okay.
All right.
And then you have a screen. So let's go and just take a quick look at that screen. I'm assuming this is saying, like, what do you want to create for this opportunity? A parent or a child. Okay. All right. So do me a favor, just before you click out of that, or if you can go back in that real quick. So you have, that is, I want to create a child. And if you just click on the parent one, that's called, I want to create a parent, I'm assuming?
Yes. Click on this?
Yeah, good. Yep. I want to create a parent. Okay, perfect. All right, so go ahead and hit cancel here. That all looks good. And then I'm guessing you have your decision block here, which says which one did you click. So let's go into that. So create parent, label create parent. I want to create a parent equals true. Okay, and then you have create child. I'm assuming just based on the fact there's only one other one, it was like the else option that you have there. Okay, all right, that looks good.
Okay.
Okay, now if you create a parent, I'm assuming that's a screen where they can put in a bunch of information about what that parent is.
Yes.
Okay. Okay, so all right. Now for these here, before we go into the details of that, let's actually take a look at that error that you were getting. So let's go through the debug and we'll see the specific error. Now that I have an idea of how this is working here.
I ran it on a, see if my ID is still in there. And it's doing it on the parent side. None of that's required. And this is where it comes out.
Okay, now on the right side here, malformed ID, account ID, ID of incorrect type, test account. Okay, so I think I know what the issue is. Let's go back to your flow. And let's go to your create records element right there. Yeah, let's go into that. Okay, look at the account ID. So if you actually click on that value, like anywhere in the blue text on that, go and click right there. So you're actually trying to set the account ID equal to the account name. So what I would suggest that we do is you don't want that final dot name on there. You probably want to remove that, but go ahead and just delete everything that you have in that field for right now. Let's actually just build it using the builder. So we want to select the get current account.
This one?
Yeah, I'm sorry, you get current opportunity. Yep, that's the one. And then if you scroll down, well, here's the thing. Before you scroll down, let's scroll all the way to the top there. Just for everybody on the call, if they're not familiar, when you're working in Flow and you have a lookup field, in this case, we're looking at the account lookup field, you're going to notice that there's two options in this list for account. You have the one at the top here that's got the little greater than sign next to it. And if you were to click on that, that's going to take you to the related account fields where you can select name and site and all that good stuff. But we don't want to do that. So go ahead and backspace that that account out of there all the way to the, okay, now we're back to the list of opportunity fields. If you scroll all the way down, you'll notice that there is another, well, actually, I think you have to go back into
She needs the dot.
Yeah, go ahead and put the dot in there if you can, after opportunity. Okay, now if you start typing in the word account from here, you'll notice that there should be two. One of them is just straight up account ID. That's the one that you want to put into that account ID field.
This one.
Yep.
And I had the other one in there.
You had account.name. So you traversed the relationship and then selected the name field.
Okay.
But the field you're trying to populate is account ID. So you want to make sure that you get an ID field there.
Okay.
So in theory, if you click done here and then we do debug, not promising that we won't have any other errors, but at least that error should be taken care of here.
You just save first.
I did not save it. Save it first.
No, that's a good question. You have to save before you can debug, right?
You do. Otherwise, it will use the previous version. It won't be the updated information.
Thanks.
I'll add that again to my lame list. I got to save to debug.
It is.
Come on.
Can you click on that screen also? It says create parent opportunity. Can you click on that one? Above.
This one?
Yeah. Should that say create parent opportunity instead of child opportunity on the header?
I don't know why that header's saying that.
The name of your flow.
Yeah. So I actually was hiding it. Yeah.
Gotcha. All right.
Let's
Take
see
bets.
what happens.
See.
I've spent a lot of time on ScreenFlows the last like 2 weeks.
Have you? I'm doing Dave Massey's course now. And it's been good.
All right. Look, just based on what I'm seeing there on the right, I think we got past that. Or did we get past the error? Yeah, transaction committed, parent.
No, we haven't gotten to it yet.
Oh, okay. Required fields missing. Okay, so, and now where you're creating an opportunity, at a minimum, you need to have name, stage name, and close date. So if those fields are not on your screen, you definitely want to add them to the screen and then make sure that they're required.
Okay, name,
close date, and stage would be the three out-of-the-box required fields for opportunity.
Oh, and I do have them. I didn't fill them in though, but they're not required.
Yeah, I would suggest making those required if you're going to be creating an opportunity in the next step with those. So name you already got there. Yeah, close date and stage. And just to be clear, this would be the opportunity stage that we'd want to populate.
Mm-hmm. Yes.
So any other questions there? I think once you add those, make sure that you have those three fields. I think you'll be in good shape here.
Oh, really? Okay. Yeah, I did have a question. Is it possible to just look up information? Like I would like to pull the data off of the existing opportunity and put it in here.
Yeah.
How do I do that?
So just to show you an example of that, if you click on your parent opportunity name field.
Yes.
So over on the right side where it says default value.
Yes.
Go ahead and click onto that. And yeah, right there. And then let's go back into that opportunity from get current opportunity that you had. And then type in name.
Just type it.
Yep, right there in the middle there. So now when somebody were to select this option and they're presented with the screen, by default, it's going to have the previous opportunity's name. And then, of course, they're free to edit it if they want to. But yeah,
Wonderful.
yeah, and pretty much any input element that you have on a screen flow, they should give you that option for like default value or preset value, whatever you want to put in there.
Do you know how to make those required, those 3 fields you need?
On that screen here?
Yeah.
Yes, I'm pretty sure I do. Over here.
Mhm.
And then that one.
And then the stage name. Yep.
And that.
Yeah, and then now that we ensured that those are required on the screen, the last thing you'd want to do is on the create elements element or the create records element that you have there. We would make sure that those 3 fields are being populated when it tries to create the record.
Okay, so I can add those in there.
Yep.
All right. Well, thank you so much.
Yeah, absolutely. I hope that was helpful.
Very much so. I appreciate it.
All right. All right. That being said, any final questions on what we were just walking through there before we go back to our hands up, folks?
I have a question about it, Bill.
Yeah.
On the very first decision element that she had, where you select the parent or the child record, were those fields? Is that checkbox required that they have to select one of the two?
It was not.
The reason why I'm asking is because at the way it's set up now with no second criteria in the decision, meaning without a default condition that specifies that the child box has to be selected, then if they select nothing, it'll create a child record.
You are correct.
Okay.
Yeah. So Nancy, just to kind of say that back to you a slightly different way. So in your very first screen where you're asking them, what are you trying to do here? Create a parent or create a child? You have that implemented right now with 2 individual standalone checkbox fields, right?
Yes.
So that's not bad. That's okay. But if you're going to do that, you'd want to have a decision block come right after that to say, did they select one or the other, and make sure that they didn't select none or select both, right?
Okay.
So maybe a better way to do that is instead of using 2 independent checkbox fields, you might want to use like a radio button, pick list options. Yeah, I'm sure there's a few other things there. Basically, something that they have to select one or the other, and you can force them to do that. I think pick list is probably going to be your best option. And if you use a pick list and you make it required, then they have to select one or the other. There'll be no option for them to select nothing or select both. So
that's great. I appreciate yours and everybody else's help.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, once you make those other changes and you go through and save and debug once more, let us know if you have any other problems.
Appreciate it.
All right. All right, cool. Julia, I see that you have a hand up.
Yeah, I don't have an exact example, but I'm in the middle of creating a screen flow where we're going to look up the customer, and then I want to present the customer's current billing address. So I want to display that on a screen. And then I want them to tell me, is this the current billing address? And if not, if it's no, give them some boxes to fill in for the new address or new physical address.
And then when they click
And
OK,
then,
it saves it?
Yeah, and then it saves it, creates a record. And I don't have any examples for you, but I know how to do the lookup kind of, but I don't know how to present the
you mind if I drive and we'll walk through a quick example?
Yeah, that'd be awesome. Thank you.
All right, so let's see here. So I'm going to go into my same Salesforce org. Let's go to Flow over on their quick find. And I'm going to create a new flow. And this is going to be a screen flow. So let's go in here. We'll create a screen and we'll give them the ability to select some account or some customer record. So we'll call this select an account. All right, so they do that. And over here, we're going to have a lookup element. And a lookup is going to be to, we'll call this account lookup. Now, this is the part that I always find a little bit confusing because this is going to be a lookup, but I actually have to give it like the details of a lookup that already exists within the org. I can't just look up like an actual record unless I'm doing this wrong. So yeah, let's go with this. Field API name, we're just going to call this account. maybe can I do it this way? Account. Use the opportunity one. Record ID. Okay. So before I do anything, let's just see if that works. Let me save this. Account address updater. All right, save. All right, now if I were to debug this, assuming something would happen. Okay, there we go. So run, search accounts. Okay, yeah, so that works. So now I can select an account and I can click next. All right, so that's step one. So once they select an account, then we want to show them the address to that account. So let's say confirm address. So we'll put some kind of display text in here that says, does this, whoop, no, this is a address confirm message. And we'll say, does this address look right? Okay, now my question is, when I select that account, I guess all this is going to give me is the name and the ID. So we're going to have to put another step in here to actually get to the address. So let's get rid of this junk that I threw in there. We'll click done. And in between that first screen and second screen, I'm going to put in the get records. So we want to get that account that we actually selected. So we'll say get the account that we selected. Object type is going to be account. And we want to find all accounts where the ID is equal to what we actually selected on our screen. So it would be the account lookup dot record ID. And we want to make sure that we're only grabbing the first record there. Okay, so that allows me to get the account that we selected, all the other fields from that account that we selected. And then now on the confirm address screen, I should be able to throw in, I don't know if you can even do this. Let's see. Can I pre-fill the address to something from another record? Okay, before I do that, before I overly engineer this, let's see if we can do this. Does this address look right? And then in theory, I should be able to just select account from get account and guess billing address.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so we'll do done. Save. And then debug. Okay, so run. And now I can select an account. Now I have no idea if this account actually has an address. So let's see. Address is not a value type string. Okay. So I wonder, is it, I mean, am I really gonna have to like do this part? Well, let me do that. Or am I going to put billing address, each thing individually into this for it to display? So let's do run. Oh, for love of God. Okay. All right, so let's just do, just to keep it simple, instead of doing this, let's just do them one at a time. So we'll do account from get account, and then billing street, and then I'll put a return, and we'll put billing state, and then we'll just assume that those are all the fields, and then we'll go into the actual meat of this where they can update it. So let's see, save, debug, run. Okay, so now we say, does this address look right? And we have the address being displayed. All right, now the next part of this is, how do we get them to confirm? So what I'm going to do is I'm going to throw in a, what do we have here? A pick list. This, Nancy, kind of goes back to what we were talking about with yours. Does it look right? Question mark. And then I'm going to say, we're not going to let them select multiple. The type is going to be, let's do text. Yeah, that's fine. We'll make it required. And the choices, I just want to do yes. And then I'm going to add a choice, no. And that is much more convenient than it used to be for creating those. Okay, so now we have a yes or no. So just to confirm that that's working, let's go back here and run this. So now I can select an account. It says, does it look right? I can select yes or no. And then finally, we can actually go to the part where we're going to update it. So let's do a decision block here. So did it look right? Question mark. We're going to say, yes, it looked right. And that's where is it here? Does it look right? Equals yes. And then the default will just be no. Okay, then on the no side, if it didn't look right, now we need to give them a screen where they can actually make changes. So we're going to call this update address. And on this one, I'm going to try this kind of cool thing that they have here, this address item, and it gives you the ability to kind of put in like pre-fill the values. So we'll call this account billing address. And then we're going to say the city is going to be equal to the account billing city. We'll say the street value is account billing street. And I'll do one more, but yeah, just to get the point across, we'll put those in there. So I have those two. Let's do state, billing state. Okay, so that'll be the screen where they can actually update the address. And then after that, we'll do an update records. And I should be able to say, well, no. After
What if we
that,
don't want, what if we don't want to update? We're just going to display it in an email. I'm throwing a wrench.
yeah, well, yeah, I guess we could do a few things. Let's just make
Mhm.
sure that this part's working, and then we can talk about what you can do from there. So now that we have this, we should be able to select our account. We can say, does that look right? And then I can say no. And then it'll take me to a screen where I can update the address. And then what you could do, again, whether you take them to a screen where they can update the address, or you send an email to somebody and say, hey, update the address, this doesn't look right, fix it, whatever it is. If you went this option where they can, fix the address, put what the correct one is, when you would click next or finish on this, you would basically have an assignment element where it would basically, using the things you entered on this address, update the account record, and then there would be an update records element where it would actually save the changes to the database. But this could be a way to do that. So we get the account, present the address, select an account, get all the details from the account, present the current address to the user, ask them if it's correct or not, and if it's not, give them the ability to make changes. And then, like I said, we would have an assignment element, to set the account values equal to it, and then an update to actually make the changes. Any questions there? Does that make sense as far as how we would do that in the screen flow?
It does. Thank you.
Okay. Yeah, I think the key thing here is this handy address input element where you can just default all the values to the current account stuff. That's
Or you could
convenient.
leave it just empty blank and then you can just input whatever they want, correct?
Yeah,
Okay.
you could either default the values based on the current account, where you just leave it empty and they have to fill it all in. The only reason why I might want to default it is if the issue was, maybe it was just like, they put 59 instead of 599 or something like that. You won't want them to retype the whole thing, but
I
yeah.
see.
Yeah.
That's a good point. Okay, I'll ask the business what they want.
Okay.
Okay, that's
Cool.
good. Thank you so much. Appreciate
Absolutely.
that.
All right. Any final questions on that before we go, or before we move on? Okay. So before we go to our next hand up, I just want to point out we have 5 minutes left. So we'll do our best to answer any kind of questions. But if we need to, we can always take the conversation to our Slack workspace. And Nancy, as I hand it over to you to ask your question, I'm going to paste our Slack workspace invite link in the chat in case anybody didn't have it. But go ahead. Yeah.
Bill, I'm sorry, I didn't have a question. I forgot to put my hand down.
No, I'm sorry. You had your hand up. So now you have to ask some kind of question. So go for it. Now you're good. You're good. Bill, I see you have a hand up. Do you have a question you'd like to go through?
Well, let's loop back to what I was doing. If I can share my screen.
Sure.
Where did you go?
Real quick, while you're sharing your screen, I do see
Yeah.
a question from Rachel in the chat. Was Julia's question an admin related question or a developer related question? I would say it sits clearly right in between those two things, right? Because this is definitely a request you would get from your business all the time as a Salesforce administrator. And the way that we would handle that request is by using the declarative development tools. So you are doing development, you are building logic, you're building customizations, but we're leaning on the declarative tools. In other words, like the point and click type tools, as opposed to writing Apex code or writing Lightning components and things like that, which are more of the non-declarative development tools, if we had to throw a term out there. So yeah, it kind of sits in between admin and developer. And Bill, yeah.
Yeah, okay. Here, I'm sharing my screen. Okay, so here, right?
Yep.
This is what I have. I'm not even going to put in names. I don't need to. Select my object. Come on, baby. There we go. Lead. Pick list. My pick list is not there. I've confirmed that my pick list is a global pick list.
Can you show me your pick list?
Yes.
So it looks like you're on your lead fields right here. So
what do you want to see? I'm sorry.
Go to the lead object, go to fields, and then just show me that pick list that's not showing up. So what is the pick list?
It's not. It's called recruiting pick list. It's not.
Do me a favor. If you scroll all the way to the top, click on the data type header that you have there. And then just looking at the pick lists, which pick list is it?
It's none of those.
Okay, so
those I think are standard pick lists that are built into the standard object.
Well, okay. So if you wanted to display a pick list on the lead path, that pick list has to be a pick list on the lead object.
Okay.
So we would want to create a new pick list. If you want to like point it to that global value set, I think that's perfectly fine. But the pick list has to be here on the lead object for it to show up in that the drop down.
Okay. That's a quick answer. We'll go with that, and I'll stop sharing and struggle through that.
All right.
Call it good. Thank you.
Yeah. All right, cool. Well, we have 37 seconds left. Does anybody have anything that they would like to share or questions?
I learned something weird yesterday.
What'd you learn?
So I was working on a ScreenFlow testing it, and it was working just fine. And then all of a sudden I started getting faults, and it was just giving me like the recipient one, where it's either incorrect, like too many recipients or not, or 0 or something like that.
Yeah.
Turns out that dev orgs have a very, very little limit on emails. So once you hit that limit, it will start failing anything. And yeah, there's not a lot of information about that, though. It took us a while to find anything that said that. So
Gotcha. Yeah, building and testing like big email type things in a dev org, you always have to worry about, developing anything.
It wasn't even big.
Well, I was going to say, developing anything, you always have to worry about like governor limits and org limits and things like that. But they definitely like tighten those down on non-production orgs. So that's good to know.
I think it's something like 15 emails or something crazy like that in a dev org. So
I mean, how do you do anything with I create like 47 versions of a flow before I think it's even like ready for testing, or what I mean? Like 15 is not a lot.
I just don't know how we didn't hit that limit any other day, because I felt like we had sent way more than that on other days. So yeah, yesterday I was like, what is going on?
Yeah, well, that's good to know. Yeah. And what I can do is there is a site that's available, like a webpage for org limits, transaction limits, all that kind of stuff. If I could find that reference, I'll throw that in the chat or in the Slack in case anybody was wanted to take a look at that. But cool. So one last time, I'm going to throw the link to our Slack workspace in the chat here. I hope this has been a productive call for everybody. Hope everybody learned something. And I hope to talk to you all next week, Friday, same time, 12 p.m. So enjoy your weekend. Talk to you all later.